Good morning. Happy Sunday morning, Sonder fam. So nice to see all of you here. Remember, there are no cameras for you and there are no mics for you. It's only me. You'll only be hearing and seeing me. And also with me this morning is the fabulous Bailey. She will be keeping an eye on the chat, answering any questions, um, you know, just kind of assisting with anything. I try to look at the chat, but sometimes it gets rolling kind of fast and I miss things. Plus, I'm also easily distracted. So sometimes I'm watching the chat and then I forget what I was going to say. So sometimes I don't catch things in the chat, but Bailey will be there to help you out. If I haven't met you yet, my name is Maya, and I am coming to you from Aurora, Colorado, a little suburb. Well, it's not little, but a suburb of Denver. We finally got our first snow yesterday here in Denver, which is very late for us. Usually we get snow in October, actually. So that was exciting, except it's mostly melted off. And now it's just really cold. I think it's like 15 degrees or something outside. So very, very cold. Um, so it's so good to have all of you with us. I'm so glad that you're carving out a little bit of time. We do take a little bit more time for the monthly setup. We have an hour and 15 minutes. So just know it's 15 minutes more than our typical social. But if you need to leave early for any reason, absolutely fine. We record all of these socials, we put them up. Um, we put them up in our YouTube channel. We can give you that link, and you can always go back and watch. Yep, Bailey popped the link in there. Highly recommend you bookmark that page because that's the easiest place to go. I know you can go to like Silk and Saunders YouTube page, and sometimes some of the socials will be easy to find, but it's really easy to find that whole list there if you go to that link. So just bookmark that, save that link somewhere, and then you can go and find those. And there are over 1,000 recordings now. Can you believe we've been doing this for so many years and we have so many fun recordings? And I always tell people if you're ever bored or you need a little fun time, go back and find an old one from like 2021 or 2022. Maybe it's even a journal theme that you didn't even have, and do some of the activities. You don't have to have the journal, right? You can write on blank pages or those kinds of things. So that's always fun. So again, thank you for being here. Is it anybody's first time here at a social, first time being here? I saw we had some returning folks that have been kind of coming back to Silk and Sonder. And I think, oh, Melissa is raising her hand saying she's new. Welcome, Melissa. And it's so fun. Megan is here. Nancy, first monthly setup. Welcome. We were kind of talking about yesterday during Katie's setup that, Silk and Sonder is always here for you. And sometimes we need to take a break. Sometimes other things are going on. We don't have the time that we want to devote to this. So we take a little break. We can come back. We are here for you whenever you need us. So it's always fun to see folks that are returning after a while and getting back into the groove. I do want to mention you want to make sure you set that little blue box in the chat to everyone. It has a tendency to flip back and forth to the host and panelist, especially if you're on an iPhone or an iPad. So when it does that, the only people that see what you write are myself and Bailey. So just know that will happen. And we try to remind you like, oh, make sure you switch that chat to everyone. But so just keep an eye on that. Also, for our newbies, want to make sure to recommend that you take screenshots. If you see any of these slides that have some ideas, we're going to give you lots of examples of ways that people have used these pages, things that people have done. So sometimes people will take screenshots so that they can go back and look. And again, you can always go back to the recordings and take a look. Also, sometimes the chat gets rolling pretty fast, right? We usually have upwards of 100 people here, and that chat sometimes can be a little distracting or stressful. You don't have to participate in the chat, right? Some people will turn the chat off. They're just kind of like nose and journal. They're just working on their pages, feeling very focused. Other people come because they like to hang out in the chat and chat with their friends, and gives them a little bit of time to kind of think about things. They make notes. Maybe they do some sticky notes to remember. Some people do a little combo of both. The nice thing is we usually have several monthly setups. We do have one more monthly setup tomorrow night, Monday night, and Jen O will be facilitating that one, and I will be in the chat. So you're always welcome to attend as many of these as you would like. And tomorrow morning we have a weekly setup, and I think tonight we have a weekly setup. So it was a very busy weekend. Lots of fun things, lots of fun socials to do. So again, this is your hour, well, hour and 15 minutes for this monthly setup. So it's up to you to do what you need to do. um, there's no right or wrong way to be here. There's no right or wrong way to set up your journal. This is just a great opportunity for you to get some ideas, to think about what you want to do, to share in the chat. You never know who you're going to inspire with how you're repurposing things or what you're doing with your pages. So we are just so happy that you all have carved out a little bit of time, especially this holiday weekend, which may have been a little busy for you. We're just so glad that you're here with us this morning. So did want to mention really quickly, you probably saw and you've probably gotten emails. We do still have the Black Friday sale going on, 25% off of everything. And there will be some Cyber Monday and some New Year's things. So, we're always running different sales. The coaching, the online coaching program that we have with our AI coach Jenny, that will be 50% off for the first 12 months with the code Black Friday. So just kind of keeping an idea, keeping those things in mind, wanting to save money. And do remember, this is a small business, woman-owned business, right? Meha, our founder, is more than happy to create these wonderful things for us. So just a little idea for your holiday shopping. You can always gift somebody a subscription or one of our different, like the Elevate Planner, those kinds of things. Few little community guidelines to remind you about. First of all, you want to make sure that you're kind and courteous to both yourself and others. No promotions or spam. We respect everyone's privacy here. No hate speech or bullying. Limit those repetitive product and accessory questions. It's fine to ask some questions about pins that don't bleed through or stickers, but we want to try to focus on this monthly setup and what folks use. And I see some folks talking about the Frixon erasable colored pins that they like to use because you can erase, and they have, I think, erasable highlighters as well. Just know that you don't want to leave those in a hot car because they will like evaporate and disappear. So it's kind of like disappearing ink. Anyway, kind of it's fun. I use that Frixon sometimes when I am sewing because you can write on the fabric, and then when you wash it or you iron over it, it disappears. So that's kind of a fun thing to be able to do. Any of those customer care inquiries that you want to ask about, like you haven't gotten your December journal yet, or you need to change your billing information, need to update your address, those all go to hello@silkandsonder.com. Bailey and I don't have access to your accounts, so we can't fix anything for you there. So just keep that in mind. They are Monday through Friday, Pacific Coast 9 to 5 group. So sometimes it does take a little bit for them to get back to you. So your patience is appreciated. And then ultimately remember that these socials are a tool to help elevate your emotional health through the power of community. And if you haven't noticed already in the chat, we have a wonderful community, very friendly, very supportive, lots of great ideas, very creative. But ultimately, you're responsible for your own emotions, well-being, and decisions. So if there's ever anything that we're working on that just isn't your jam, you're just not feeling it, feel free to do whatever you want to do. Maybe you just want to color during that time that we're working on that particular page or that particular section, right? Or maybe the music I'm playing isn't your jam, right? So you can mute that. Maybe my voice isn't your jam, so you can mute me. We have closed captioning enabled so you can still follow along, right? So, oh, Nicole's so sweet. She says, Maya's always my jam. But, I know, people, I'm not everybody's cup of tea and everybody's not my cup of tea, right? So again, do what you need to do for you. This is your time. Don't feel guilty about it. You don't have to explain. This is just what you need. So hopefully you have seen that our theme for this month is renewal. And I think that is a fabulous theme for the month of December. I know sometimes it seems like maybe that's a January theme, but I think with December having the actual official start of winter on the 21st, and this idea of, things kind of going to sleep, things kind of resting. Nature is resting right now, thinking about how maybe we want to rest and how we want to rejuvenate and renew ourselves, I think is a super fun theme to dig into for the month. And if you join us for the weekend or for the weekly setups, we do a little mind map where we help you dig into that idea of renewal each week. So please feel free to join us for that or watch a recording so you can kind of see. Yeah, and Bailey's saying she loves having renewal now. Feel like January is when it's time to put the plans in action. December is a great time for reflection. And I think that is fabulous. So I had this little quote: renewal is what happens when you realize that some of the stuff you've been carrying around doesn't matter. So December is a great month to decide what we're going to carry into the new year, what we're going to put down, what we're going to leave behind, maybe what we want to pick up or what we want to carry forward. So I think that theme of renewal is something that is a fun one to explore for the month of December. So if you haven't had a chance yet, I highly recommend on page 2, Meha, our founder, always writes us a little letter to kind of talk about what she's thinking when she picked this theme for the month and where that is coming from. And she talks about the idea that renewal sometimes means saying no. I think a lot of us struggle with the saying no. We want to do all the things. We have that FOMO, right? We don't want to miss out. We want to be part of things. We want to help people. A lot of us are people pleasers. So super important to remember that renewal sometimes means saying no, being very intentional about what we decide we want to do and spend our energy and our time with. It's also carrying forward the growth and lessons that shape who we are. So again, reflecting back on the year, reflecting on kind of what we did and how things went, and that growth that we experienced throughout the year to carry forward. And then small pauses that reconnect us to ourselves. I think the pause is really or underrated, right? We don't pause a lot. And especially in this world of digital, where you can send off an email just like that, you can respond to a post just like that, right? You can DM someone, you can pop something, in the chat really quick. Like there's just that instant response. Sometimes that is not good for us, right? Sometimes we say things that we wish we wouldn't have said. Sometimes maybe we are not as nice as we would want to be. I think sometimes thinking about, our theme in November has been kindness. And I think carrying that over is super important. And I really like the idea of this quote that says, you're under no obligation to be the same person you were 5 minutes ago. So that just means, you can change yourself anytime. You don't have to wait for a new month. You don't have to wait for a new week. You don't have to wait for a new day. You can do it right now. Right. And kind of decide. Yeah. Courtney says, I love the term shedding season, right? That's a great way to look at that. And then you can start anew at any given moment. Life is just the passage of time, and it's up to you to pass it as you please. So really thinking about that and thinking about what that means for you and kind of putting those things aside. So our agenda for this morning, we are going to do a little acrostic poem. Sometimes the acrostic poem is printed in the journal. This month it is not. So we're going to use a blank page for that. We're going to do our November reflections, set our December intentions. And if you notice, there was a little sticker that came with your journal this month that had the little December, what did it say? Like December intentions, right? And you can just kind of write on that. I will warn you, the sticker is a little slippery. So I wrote on it with just a basic old freebie ballpoint pen, but I wrote on it and let it sit for a while to dry so it didn't smear. So just know it's a little tricky. So it has the December intention this month, I will, and then you can write your intention. And then we'll do our mood tracker and our habit tracker. And if you've been with me for a while, I like to use these 2 little stickers that say there's room for you here just as you are. Sometimes it could be, things could be going great. You want to celebrate. You want to share some celebrations. We love to celebrate with our Sonder fam. And we know that sometimes things aren't going well, right? We're having problems. We're having issues. There's challenges going on. This time of month can be a little stressful, and we're here for that too, right? So don't ever think about that you're being too negative or you're being too positive, and you don't want to sound too positive, right? It's just, we're here for you just as you are, and we're here to share and support and listen and hear what's going on with your lives. And then the way you feel matters, and no emotion you feel is bad or unworthy. No one can tell you, oh, you shouldn't be mad about that, or oh, you should be happy about this, or those kinds of things. Our feelings are just our feelings. And that's kind of the way that it goes. So we're here for all the feels, right? And I do see some folks in the chat are saying maybe use like a permanent marker, like maybe a Sharpie. I didn't even go get the Sharpie. I just used the ballpoint pen, and it's okay now because it's dried. But anyway, so just know, because I know we'll get upset if we smear if we smear our sticker or it doesn't write. Definitely not a felt pen, right? That's not going to do good. Or a gel pens probably aren't going to work on it. So let's find a blank space in our journal. You can use any space. I don't know that we'll get the sticker every month. Usually it's a kind of a occasional little add-in, a little treat. So, but who knows? It's hard to say. So we're going to find 7 words or phrases for the word renewal. Then we're going to create an acrostic poem using renewal, drawing upon our brainstormed list. So it could be sentences, one word, sets of words for each line, etc. So you're going to maybe want to write it down the side. A really good place for this, like I said, you can do any blank page, but a lot of people like to do this on page 1 that we're at the index, and it says notes, and you can actually write renewal down in those little spaces where, you know, it's supposed to be for like page numbers, and then you can write your phrase out there. That works great. The definitions page on page 3 is a great place to do that, or maybe your monthly expense tracker on page 25, because not a lot of folks use that to track expenses. So totally up to you how you want to do that. Here's some examples of things that folks have done, ideas for ways you can do this. It can be one word, like release, evolve, nourish, engage, wonder, accept, and live. You could use some synonyms here for the word renewal, or here's one that has, it's a full phrase: review what served me well last week, establish 3 non-negotiable self-care acts, name the biggest challenge I anticipate, execute my plan with unwavering focus, write down a single crucial first step, aligning my actions with my deepest values, and leading with grace, both for myself and yourself, right? And if an acrostic poem isn't your jam, right? Some people do not like doing the acrostic poem. It's just not a fun thing for them. Excuse me. You could also write a letter saying goodbye to November and hello to December, right? And I have a couple examples there of a goodbye November, hello December, and people have used like their the to-dos or the 3 weekly goals or that kind of thing. Or again, you can do this on a blank page. Maybe oh, I don't know why it's in there both. Now it says it's in there both. Write a letter saying goodbye to fall days and hello to winter days, right? So you could actually kind of think about the season. Maybe you want to fill in your renewal definition on page 3. Maybe you want to think about small moments that make you have, that maybe helped you feel kindness as you're kind of reflecting on the kindness theme. Maybe you want to do a haiku. We have some people who like to do haikus, which is kind of a fun way. And oops, where's my little example? There they are. I went past my examples. Here's some examples of some things that some folks have done that have already posted in Sonder Club. So here's some fun examples. Again, it could be a full sentence. It could be just a little bit, like whatever, kind of works for you and how you want to do that. So I will just kind of cycle through these slides, let you work on this for a little bit. We'll check back in here in just a few minutes. So feel free to share in the chat, maybe what you're using, how you're setting this up. If you're doing a letter, if you're going to do the acrostic poem, like whatever you think you're going to do for this little part. So let us know and we'll check back in. All right. Thank you for sharing in the chat how you've decided to set up that acrostic poem, like what you've been writing for that. We love to see those in Sonder Club. Like I said, all these examples that we're going to look at today, all of our fabulous Sonder fam have worked on and shared in Sonder Club. And we just pop them here into the slides so that you can see examples of those. So those are fabulous. So feel free to keep working on that if you want to. Sometimes this is the kind of thing where you work on it for several days as kind of go forward. So I love Sarah has restore, embrace, nourish, engage, wonder, alignment, and love. Michelle has rebirth, recreate, evolve, new ideas for old habits, energy to move forward. Oop, my screen switched there. Wonder, appreciate all I have done, and lament loss and live fully. So those are fabulous examples. As you work on that. So thank you all. It gives us a little chance to really kind of start to dig into that theme of renewal and think about what that's going to mean to us for the month. So we are going to now look at our journal, set up those pages for the month. And I wanted to show an example of something that someone had posted in Sonder Club just to remind you, you can redecorate your cover however you would like. And she's going to get her ducks in a row this month and has super fun little ducky stickers, the little rubber ducky stickers, which are super cute. And I love that. So I just thought I would share. A lot of people decorate their covers, change their covers up. Totally up to you. It's the kind of thing where I'm like, it's super cute, but I never usually have my book closed. It's usually open to some particular page. So I don't usually see the cover of it very often. This could also be a good place to pop that sticker with your December affirmation if you wanted to. Just a fun little idea to think about. I love that. So we're going to do our November reflections, which are on page 8. So we're going to flip over to that page. It's always a good time to think about the month that we just are finishing up, thinking of our wins, our challenges. We don't have a November affirmation. It's a December affirmation. If I said November, I'm sorry about that. So we have our wins, our challenges, our favorite moments, and what do I want to start, stop, and continue. So that's there over on page 8, where we are going to reflect on the month. Looks like this. Our wins are something that we did that made us smile, made us happy. It's an accomplishment. I often like to list any knitting projects that I finished, maybe books that I read. If I did any fun activities, like if I did a 5K or, went on a hike, those kinds of things. Challenges are things that maybe didn't go right, something maybe out of our control, a stumbling block, a frustration, something that upset us, those kinds of things. And then some tips for this. You could look back at your rosebud thorn in November in your November journal to see if you can kind of jog your memory. I also recommend going back through your phone, reviewing your calendar and your photos from the last month, right? Really kind of taking a look at that photo roll really can kind of jog your memory as to what you did and what kind of went on. So those go in the wins, challenges, and favorite moments. Sometimes the wins are the favorite moments. They can be in both places. Absolutely fine. And then there at the bottom are the things we want to start, we want to stop, and we want to continue as we go into the month. So maybe we want to start some things that we aren't doing, but we want to start doing. Maybe it's making sourdough bread again, right? It's as winter comes and it's cooler in the house, I feel more likely to turn that oven on during the day to kind of heat up the house. So maybe I'll start my sourdough bread again. Maybe it's things you want to do to get better results. I was thinking of, I have a standing desk at work and I rarely use it. I think I want to try to get into the habit of using that a little bit more. So a little more standing and movement. Maybe things worth trying or experimenting with to get better results. And then things we want to stop are maybe things that aren't working or helping, maybe things that are impeding our progress, or maybe they're not practical. Maybe it's things that aren't delivering desired results, things you dislike, things that no longer serve you. Remember, we talked about maybe leaving those things behind. So I think I put this on there every month, but I always say I need to stop wasting time on the phone. I spend a lot of time scrolling through Instagram. I can justify some of it because I can say, well, I'm trying to find cute little graphics for the socials, but I spend way too much time on there. So I'd like to stop doing that. And then continue are those things that are working well, things we want to keep, things we want to continue to see if they're worthwhile, things maybe we like or that we need. So packing my lunch for work, want to continue doing that. That's been super helpful, saving money. Listening to my audiobooks on my commute. I think I've gone through 11 audiobooks since August when I first started this job and had the long commute. So that's been awesome. So those kinds of things, right? So here's some examples of some things that some folks have put in that start, stop, and continue. And then one person, you can see the one they have a what, a why, and a how. So they want to start with going back to the gym, why they've been getting sick a lot, and so how they're going to commit to 1 day a week to start and not overdoing it. So that kind of thing. I like they want to stop staying up way too late. Why? Because they're so tired in the morning and they keep hitting snooze. How? No screen time after 9 p.m. So kind of some people break it down to be very, very specific. Oh, it's funny. Folks are talking about their stickers and kind of keeping wanting to save their stickers forever. Now, if you don't put your sticker on something and use it, it never fulfills its sticker destiny. So it'll be sad if it just sits in a box with other stickers and doesn't get used. So you could put it as a bookmark is a great idea. But yeah, use those stickers, right? We got to use them. We can't just save them for something special, right? Every day is special. Everything is, or every journal is special. Put it on that water bottle, even if it gets worn and wears away, at least you used it and it got to fulfill its sticker destiny. Also found this fun from Silk and Saunders, a couple things from their Instagram page. Do like a brain dump of to-dos, maybe journaling, spending time on a screen-free hobby, spending quality time with loved ones, going for a walk and getting some fresh air, practicing gratitude, thinking about all the things that winter is full of. Excuse me. So I am going to just cycle through. There's just these two slides. I'll cycle through. Let us know maybe some wins, some challenges, some favorite moments. If you want, you can tell us a start, stop, and continue that you want to do. I'll play just a little bit of music, then we'll check back in and keep moving on. Thank you all for sharing in the chat those things that you want to start, stop, and continue. Really thinking about some of those wins and challenges and favorite moments. I think this is such a great activity because I know a lot of times I'm just rushing to the next thing, rushing into the next month. I don't really give the month that's ending appreciation, time to really appreciate the things that I did and kind of what's been happening. So thank you for spending just a few moments reflecting on this. Obviously, you can work on this a little bit longer. I love all our conversations about stickers and what we're doing with stickers and how we're using those. I have finally have a bin of stickers that I'm trying to like gather on because I have stickers like all over the place. Like they're in drawers and they're in bags and they're in different spots. And I'm like, if I just had them all together, then I can kind of see what I have and start putting those on. So again, thank you all for sharing. And I appreciate folks who are kind of talking about the things they want to stop are being in situations where maybe they're not being appreciated, maybe things are not making them feel like they should, and then thinking about taking themselves out of those situations. So, again, thank you for reflecting and for sharing there. Let's turn over to the next page, page 9, where we set our intentions for some different areas of our life in December. Now, I want to make sure to emphasize you do not have to set an intention for all 6 areas. Maybe you want to focus on 1 or 2 this month, especially if you're new and you're still kind of trying to figure out this and it starts to seem a little overwhelming. Maybe you want to focus on a couple things for this month and then see how that goes. So we give you some example categories like spiritual health, personal life, physical health, key relationships, money management, and professional goals, right? Those are the areas that we give you to set intentions, but you are welcome to change those to whatever areas you want to focus on in your life, right? You do not have to stick with the ones we give you. A lot of the things we give you in the journal really are suggestions, right? And some ideas. So don't ever feel bad about like switching things up. You need to make it fit yourself. So a lot of people will use some different, like the correction tape. You can get ivory correction tape if you kind of Google that. I think you can find it like on Amazon or something like that. Or stationery store and then kind of cover those up because I know some people don't like it to be the stark white because it's very contrasting. So they do make a pretty kind of a ivory one that you can use. Yep, Michelle says she has it and loves it. So maybe when you do this section, you want to use that theme of renewal to set your intentions. Maybe you want to focus on one area like self-love or self-talk. Maybe you want to use names of songs or lyrics that inspire you. Think about how you want to feel this month in each of these areas. Maybe, again, great place for some stickers, just some colors, some images for these sections. And maybe you want to set it up as one thing you want to let go of in this area and one thing that you want to start doing. So this kind of helps with that stop and start idea. So again, here's some ways that people have repurposed this. One thing thinking about, every month is like a national something month, and then they have like each day is something. But the month of December is HIV/AIDS Awareness Month, National Human Rights Month, Learn a Foreign Language Month, Seasonal Affective Disorder Awareness Month. So you may want to take one of those themes as you think about these different categories. Some people have repurposed and changed some of these categories to be mental health or connection, or you could change it up to creative life, home life, personal fun, hygge life, right? If you know the Danish word hygge, which is kind of that cozy feeling that they embrace in the wintertime when things are cold and we have a little less daylight during the day. Maybe it's you want to change things up to heart health or brain health, family relationships, work relationships, marriage relationships, time management, home management, learning goals, creative goals, hobby goals, holiday goals, right? Like all these different things that you can change these up to. Obviously, you can leave them as is, but we just wanted to let you know that here's some things that some of our Sonder fam have actually changed things up to. So here's some examples. Maybe you want to incorporate some art in there. Here's one where they changed their intention categories. So they changed the categories to awareness, connection, gratitude, impermanence, compassion, and acceptance. I think that's a great idea. We have some song titles that they used and a little bit of lyrics there that they popped in there. That's kind of a fun one. Sometimes I'll pick a favorite author and I will Google different quotes from them on those areas. So, if you really like Barbara King's Oliver, you could say like Barbara King's Oliver quotes about money management, and then kind of see what you find there. So that's kind of a fun way to do things. Or quotes from an actor or a singer that you particularly like. Again, here's some different quotes that folks have. You could use Bible verses. The cute little one that looks like an envelope, which really they just did at cross, but then they color in that top so it looks like a fun little envelope. They have their intention, and then they have their action items. So the intention is the colored in part, and then in the other three panels they write the things that they're going to do. Again, there's another song titles made it in there twice. Some simple statements that we want to use, right? Like yoga and walking, express my adoration, those kinds of things. Yeah, the envelope idea is super cute. I love that. um Maybe you want to do, again, there's like just some little stickers that folks have in there, some different intentions. There's another fun envelope that they colored. You could color with all the pretty colors. It's very pretty with the colors. I love that. Super fun way to do things. And I'll cycle through these as you work on this. And again, screenshots are your friends, so you can remember ones that you particularly liked. One person did 4 instead of 6, and then at the bottom they have a quote and a Bible verse that they popped in there. I love the little, they have a let go of and lean into with little acorns. I think that's super cute with a little squirrel sticker there at the bottom. So you could do a little theme there. And then sticky notes, right? Sometimes we don't like to commit immediately to what we're coming up with. So you could use sticky notes to give yourself some ideas. Again, you can see some people have repurposed things for like mental health and fun. Different ways to kind of think about that as you work through there. Whoops. So I will cycle through these, play a little bit of music. Let us know how you're going to set up this intention page. If you've got some fun stickers, if you're using some fun quotes, what that looks like. And then we'll check back in and keep moving on.
All right. So hopefully you've found some things that you want to do for these sections, setting things up. And again, sometimes it makes sense to only maybe focus on one or two, especially when the holidays are coming and it's a little intense. So you're like, okay, what are two areas I really want to focus on, or what is one area I really want to focus on this month? And that makes perfect sense. And you could always, in the middle of the month, you're like, hey, I think maybe I'm doing pretty good with this one. I'm gonna maybe add a new one in there. And sometimes we like to change things up a little bit there mid-month. So always good to look back at this page. So let's keep moving. We're going to turn the page and we're going to go over to our mood and habit trackers. These are lots of fun ways. I don't know why my computer keeps wanting to jump the slide so quickly. We're going to start with our mood tracker. And there are lots of different reasons to track your mood, right? Helps you be more aware of your feelings. You can track those mood patterns and triggers over time, identify what you need to best take care of yourself. You can make informed decisions without being influenced by the emotions, right? You can look at it's a good place for data. And become better at expressing your emotions. So, really kind of taking a look at that. So, we really can look at those trends and how we're feeling. Maybe we see that we always feel a certain way on the weekdays, but we feel different on the weekends. We can see those, we can make some shifts, bring in some tools to help us have, kind of have more of those positive feelings that we are wanting to. So we have our, some months we have a circle. So this month is for Team Circle. Some months we have the little hexagons, right? So we have Team Hexagons. So I know there are some people that really like their circles, some people that really like their hexagons, but this month is a circle. So we're gonna take it as we like, right? But just know that they do tend to flip back and forth. Yeah, Courtney says she's Team Hexagon. I know. It does kind of change. People have their preferences, right? So a couple different things that you can do. Yeah, Bailey says she likes both. I like it when it kind of changes up, kind of gives me something a little bit different to work with there. So maybe we want to pick a couple negative feelings, a neutral feeling, and a couple positive feelings. Maybe we want to focus on that theme of renewal for the month. Maybe when we go to fill it out, we want to try to fill in every emotion that came up that day, or we could fill in whatever emotion was strongest. For me, if I filled in every emotion, it would just each square would be black because I would have every single color, and then it would just would look great. So a lot of times what I will do if I'm going to track my moods is I track them at noon, because I have an alarm on my watch that goes off to remind me to take my noontime supplements. So then I will also track my mood at noon. So maybe you want to have a specific time when you want to track how you're feeling. Maybe it's first thing in the morning, noon, maybe it's evening, something like that. So you can kind of see if there's any
consistency there. Maybe you want to use stickers here. Again, another great place for stickers, colored pens, doodles, just anything to kind of create that key for those feelings. And here's our little feelings and emotions and moods wheel. Maybe you want to pick a different word, right? So we have the basic like fear, love, joy, anger, sadness, and surprise. Maybe we want to pick some. Stephanie's saying she wants the numbers in the circle to be on the outside. Or is that the hexagons? You want the numbers on the outside. I know there's always like all these different things that we're like, if I was able to design this page, this is how it would look. So it is always a little tricky. But lots of fun words here. Maybe we want to look at, want to track our caring or our compassion. We want to track maybe optimism or feeling proud or different moods. So kind of looking, and I'll cycle through these again so you can take a snapshot. So you have that to look at. So here's some examples of things that folks have done and how they kind of set up their key. We've got, they want to track creative, inspired, optimistic, happy and joyful, blah, sad and down, worried and stressed. I know a lot of times people will put a middle one in there and they want to track kind of like the meh, MEH, the meh emotion where they don't like meh. Happy, anxious, sentimental, depressed, romantic, crabby, anger, sadness, surprise, joy and love and fear. And then they have lots of different words there. I do have some other examples of ways to repurpose this, so I'll show you those in just a second. Here's one that has it's the lovely Christmas time with, excuse me, the Christmas lights, where they're tracking stressed and anxious, frustrated, angry, depressed, sad, calm, motivated and productive, happy and excited. There's another really pretty one, excuse me, where they have, they're tracking kind of the midday time and the nighttime. So looking at the different times, yeah, crabby is a fun one to tracking some crabby feelings. And then we can repurpose this, right? If we don't want to track our moods, maybe we want to track affirmations, anxiety levels, depression, energy, maybe on a scale of 1 to 6, a certain feeling. So like angry, tired, joyous, those kinds of things. So here's an example. Someone tracked their energy, so energy levels, and then they kind of tracked the different energy that they were feeling or experiencing or working with. So, and they used fun little symbols. So I think that's a cute little way to track that. An anxiety tracker. So really kind of looking at the anxiety levels that go anywhere from panic to none and kind of tracking those. Those can be really helpful too if you're working with a therapist and you can bring that in and you can show them that data of what that looks like, and they can kind of help unpack maybe what are some of the triggers, what are some of the things that are leading to that. Here's one for a tidy house, tidy mind that someone is doing. So they have things like laundry, dishes, bed made, 5, I can't quite read what that one is. And then 5 minutes bath, 5 minutes, I'm not sure, a living room probably. Oh, so maybe they're working 5 minutes, I think, in the bedroom, 5 minutes in the bathroom, 5 minutes in the living room, maybe doing some tidying. So a good idea to kind of help track that. And again, you could track different decluttering, maybe different decluttering areas that you're decluttering or things that you're decluttering. So maybe you're like trying to work at getting rid of clothes, paper, those kinds of things. You could track that. And here's just a fun one that has like the little Christmas decoration, and they just kind of draw the little line there, and then they can kind of put the little balls in for how they're feeling for each one. So lots of fun, different ways. Oh, creativity tracker. Carolina is saying she uses it, painting, cooking, photography, fabric art, writing, music. Fabulous idea. Fabulous idea. Whoops, I'm not going to go to the habit tracker yet. So take a look at those. Think about what you want to track this month, what kinds of things you want to look at. Some people do like to use it for exercise. They'll track if they're doing maybe strength training, walk, swimming, tracking kind of the different things that they're looking at. So I will have these kind of go through these slides. Let us know what you're going to track this month, and then we'll check back in and we'll keep moving on. All right. So hopefully you found some things that you want to track this month. I will be very honest. I rarely fill out my full mood tracker, even with the best intentions, right? I will use it sometimes to track books that I'm reading. I track different kinds of movement that I'm doing. Seriously, try to track the moods, those kinds of things. And usually I'm really good until about the middle of the month. And then it kind of fades away. So if you haven't quite figured out how to use this or stick with it, no worries. Again, remember, this is something that is helpful for you. And for some people, it's super helpful for them to track their moods. It's really good to be able to look back on. For other people, it's kind of one of those where you're like, oh, I don't know. Some people just track their steps that they take in there. Again, different kinds of things that you can use it for. So just experiment, see what works, what works best for you. And then see, Bailey likes to use hers for a replenishment tracker. So things that are replenishing. So as I think of like renewal, those kinds of things, maybe it's different kinds of things that you want to track in that area. So see what and I know there's lots of examples in Sonder Club. If you go in, there is a spot where you can go in and find different examples of different pages, lots more than what I showed you today. So just kind of see, experiment and see and play around. And you know what? If you don't fill it in for the month or you don't use it at all for the month, it's not a problem. Maybe you just want to fill this page with stickers, right? Again, it's totally your call for what works for you. So last but not least, let's go over to page 11 and we'll take a look at that habit tracker. Right. And so our habit tracker this page is really for things we want to do every day this month, or maybe most days this month. I know some people, they do things Monday through Friday, but they don't do the habit on Saturdays and Sundays. So they just kind of black out those squares. Absolutely fine. Right. Totally makes sense. Lots of different ways, different things that you can track. If you get the sticker pack from us, we do have like the tiny little stickers that you can kind of pop in for each one. This is what that's what this little example is showing. So they have things like their habit is plan their day the night before, go for a walk after lunch, take their supplements, log which tasks I accomplished, track my habits, right? So that's a good one. You have track your habits. One of your habit is tracking your habits. So you can give yourself a little sticker for that. 20 minutes of exercise minimum, right? And so they can track that. And you can see there is no little sticker, right? And this can be really helpful as you're looking to see like what are some things, these habits that I want to do, but I don't do. Yeah. And Bailey says she stopped tracking on the weekends because those aren't necessarily things she wants to do on the weekends, right? Or maybe you have different habits for the weekends versus habits for the weekdays. Or depending on your work schedule, it's kind of like these are the habits that happen when I have to work that day, and these are the habits that happen when I'm not working. So, again, kind of experimenting to see what works for us, right? So, it's a nice visual reminder of that habit, gives us positive feedback when we complete. Keeps us motivated. We can track those successes and failures. We can stay accountable and we can measure those results, right? So, lots of great reasons to use that habit tracker. Maybe there's things that we want to do that are related to renewal. So we can have some habits that would help us with that. Maybe we want to pick a particular theme like grounded, calm, joy, delight. Maybe we want to continue habits from last month. If you've been doing this and you had some great habits last month, you were really successful, you can bring those forward. You don't have to come up with brand new habits that you're going to do. And you don't have to fill in every line. This is super, super important as well. You do not have to have all of these lines filled in with a habit. And if you're new, or if you're coming up with some new habits, I would not recommend coming up with a whole list of brand new habits that you haven't been doing, right? That is stressful. That is too many things to try to do all at once, right? So maybe you want to come up with one new habit and you have one habit that's fairly well established, but you want to see how well you're doing it, right? So you could maybe have two things that you're tracking. So again, don't stress yourself out by having a whole list of brand new habits that's just going to not get done. And then you're going to feel like, oh, why did I write those down? I didn't get that done. So here's a fun example. Somebody has for this month, they have meditate, connect, self-care, gratitude, release clutter, holiday joy, and create. And you notice they drew kind of the dark lines around the Saturday, Sunday. They also wrote the days of the week around there so they can kind of remind themselves of what that looks like. So that's a fun way. This is one of mine from a while back. It probably was last December, actually. So I did the top three were things I do in the morning, and the bottom three were things I do in the evening. I actually was like, oh, I kind of like this. Maybe I'll pick this back up again for this month. And then I drew the lines around the weekend. I had that blank space in between and kind of colored that in. Sometimes you want to do things that are already a habit for that easy win, things that you're already doing, but you want to kind of track it, highlighting those weekends, link it back to your intentions, focus on that theme of renewal, kind of think about what that looks like for you. And if you're not doing it on the weekends, you can just color those, just black those completely out, right? Great ideas. So here's some other fun examples of things that folks have done. The beautiful colored one is lovely. That would stress me out. I probably would not get that done, but I love that some people are so artistic and make such pretty colorful pieces for theirs. And you can see, like, for some of them, they didn't get them done. But, you know, things like flossing, doing your physical therapy exercises, here's some other examples. If you want to, again, take a screenshot of something that you want to do, maybe you have a song of the day, or maybe you pick a song of the month. Sometimes I'll pick my song, my theme for the month, and then I play that song every morning. So that's kind of a fun habit to pick up. And again, you want to think about, does this habit still serve me, or am I blindly following an old routine? Remember how we talked about putting some things down? So maybe there's some habits that we don't need to carry forward. And how some people will ask, how is this different from the weekly where we have the habits and activities? So this one really is something we want to do every day. The weekly is maybe only a few times, and maybe it's specific to that week. So that's kind of how that looks. And then I liked this passage from Atomic Habits. If you've read the James Clear book, Atomic Habits, he says, if you want to predict where you'll end up in life, all you have to do is follow the curve of tiny gains or tiny losses and see how your daily choices will compound 10 or 20 years down the line. So really think about these as those tiny little things that when you do them, they will add up to a great result, right? But you don't usually get the result if you don't do all the tiny little things. Right? Spending less than you earn each month, going to the gym each week, reading books. Those are the things that kind of define how we're growing and who we are. So really kind of thinking about that. And here's some other examples of how people have kind of colored things in, how they've used them, kind of what this looks like. So again, I'll be quiet. We'll play a little bit of music, let you work on this, and then we'll check back in. I think that, oh, there was one more. Was there another one? Nope. Oh, there is some more. I had way too many slides today. We've got some fun ones with some fun little Christmas lights that are really pretty. I like the one that says, I'll celebrate my body when I do these things. So that's a fun one to do. And then I had a few little, like the self-care. So gifting yourself something nice, savoring a warm beverage, enjoying a holiday film, redecorating, baking something delicious. Here's some fun hygge activities. Maybe you want to kind of have a hygge habit tracker so you can lean into that. Yeah, Allison says I need to get back into learning languages. I do my little Duolingo, and I do that every day. And I think I'm on like a, I don't know, really long streak, but I don't really spend a lot of time on it. So maybe I want to spend maybe more time on it than just doing the one lesson so I can keep my streak, right? Ooh, 1,843 days. Nice job. So I think, oh, and then the last one I wanted to show you is someone who looked at their intentions page and linked their habits to their intentions, right? So again, that is a super helpful one to do. Look at all my Duolingo friends. Yep, I've got Spanish on there. So people doing French and Spanish. So I love it. So spend a little bit of time with this. Let us know what you're doing there. Then I will check back in and we will wrap things up. Oh, right. I know it's always such a fast time when we're together. I don't know where the time goes. And even though this social is 15 minutes longer, I'm always like, oh my gosh, it's the end. I don't know how time goes by so quick, but I'm so glad that you all spent some time working on this, setting things up for the month, really kind of thinking about setting these intentions, finding things that we want to track, reflecting on November. I know for some folks, November had some bumps in the road. So hopefully December will be a little smoother. I love that a lot of folks are going to be working on their Duolingo. I love folks are talking about the Let Them book by Mel Robbins, super fun book. So really kind of thinking about that. I think I'll probably like maybe I'll do my habits. I'll do some Huga habits. I think that's kind of a fun thing to think about for the month. So hopefully folks are feeling good, feeling glad. Yes, and Radhika is saying, I'm so glad there are multiple social setup socials. I need all of them. Yep. So we've got one more monthly tomorrow night with Jen O. So please join us for that. We've got the weekly tonight. We've got the weekly Monday morning. And then, of course, we have all of our fun December socials for the journal activities, right? So it is so fabulous to see everyone. So please share any pages you feel comfortable sharing. You can see we got all of these from our fabulous Sonder fam. So we're always so happy to see what you're working on. Remember, there's still the sale going on. If you want to pick up anything, pick up any gifts for anyone. Nicole's going to go back to sleep. You absolutely can. You are welcome to do that. It is so great that you're able to spend a little bit of time really carving out for yourself, right? And that growth and going forward in the month. So thank you all for being here. Hopefully we see you again at another social soon. So thank you all so much. Take care, everyone.